Well, hello again, all the boys and girls out there in YouTube land watching. Georgia Beer Reviews back at you today with another one, and I'm really excited about this one. Today I'm looking at the Ommegang Game of Thrones. My watch has ended. It's an imperial brown ale brewed with maple syrup and fenugreek. Now I had no idea what fenugreek was, so I looked it up, and it's a Mediterranean spice. It's used in Mediterranean cooking, and it's also a very popular supplement. One of the first things that popped up when I Googled it was a bottle of like Nature's Bounty capsules. So apparently, this has a lot of health benefits. The fenugreek. It's used in cooking in Mediterranean dishes, but it's primarily an herbal supplement that people take for health reasons. Now, this beer clocks in at 8% alcohol by volume. I've never had any of the Game of Thrones Ommegang beers before. I have had a lot of Ommegang beers, but none of the Game of Thrones series. This one sounded especially interesting to me. There's a big description on the back, and it just talks about Game of Thrones. Our final Game of Thrones release expresses the state of the Seven Kingdoms after 8 seasons of bloody battle. The name is a tribute to fans everywhere, blah, blah, blah. It doesn't even talk about the beer on the back, really. A little bit, it just says the beer pours a rich mahogany hue with aromas of sweet maple and caramelized sugar, notes of cocoa toffee, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, so an imperial brown ale brewed with maple syrup and fenugreek. That sounds really good. So my guess would be that this is going to be more of a malt forward beer. I'm not sure what the IBUs are. It doesn't list it on the label. Then on the bottom here it says HBO, official HBO licensed product, blah, 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 blah. So I know a lot of people like Game of Thrones. I just never got into it. So just not my thing. But Ommegang Brewery was established in 1997. They are out of Cooperstown, New York. And I've heard great things about the Game of Thrones series, so I am very excited to try this beer. And it's a very nice bottle. It's a bomber bottle, very thick, heavy glass bottle. Got the cork and cage configuration. So let's go ahead and get right into this thing and see what we're working with here. All right, the cage is coming off. Maybe. All right, there's the cage. Nice Ommegang logo there on the cage. Let's get this thing open. All right. All right. Look at those nice water vapors coming out there. Ooh, you're giving me the vapors. All right. Maple syrup. Definitely picking up on that maple syrup. I have a feeling the fenugreek is more of a gimmick than something that I'm really going to pick up on in the flavor. And I've never had fenugreek before, so I don't know what it tastes like, what it smells like. But if there's anything different in there that I'm not used to, it'll be noticeable. And I'll just have to attribute it to the fenugreek. But definitely nothing on the aroma other than that maple syrup, some nice roasty, toasty notes, some nice toasted bread, some nice malt sweetness on the aroma. Yeah, very, very malty. The maple syrup's coming through, but I'm getting some nice barley malt character, some nice roasted barley malt, some caramel, toffee, just a touch of dark chocolate. Very malt forward on the aroma. It smells like a winter. The head poured maybe like a finger's worth, which just died down, although it does have a nice little thin layer left behind. The appearance, very, very dark brown. It looks black on camera, but when I hold it up to the light, you can definitely see through it. So very dark brown appearance. This bottle was $10, which for a big old bomber like this of an 8% craft beer. It's not a terrible price, especially with all the hype around Game of Thrones and all that. I think I actually got a deal on it. I want to say that these bottles are probably normally priced at about $15, but this one was marked down. All right, so the beer smells like a winner. Malty, caramel, chocolate, maple syrup definitely coming through. Very malt forward. So, without further ado, let's get into this brew. Cheers, guys. The maple syrup is coming through very, very bready with this beer. Some nice barley malt character in the middle of the sip. Roasty, toasty, darkly toasted bread, not burnt. Fenugreek, I don't know. It could be in there. I'm not tasting anything that I'm not familiar with, which fenugreek would definitely be something that I'm not familiar with. Caramel, toffee, nice roasty, toasty, bready notes. The maple syrup's coming through. The body with this is medium. It's really not heavy, but it's on the medium side. Even though it has maple syrup in it, the body itself is not super viscous, not maple or not syrupy, but it is a little bit heavier than your traditional brown ale, I guess. Because I mean, and it is an imperial brown ale as well. That 8% alcohol bumps it up to that next level, but it doesn't taste like an 8% alcohol. The alcohol presence is completely masked with this. You're definitely not picking up on any boozy character with it. The finish is slightly bittering. It's not a bitter beer by any means, but it does have a nice little bit of bitterness on the back end to balance out that nice malt forward presentation that you're getting with this beer. I love the bready notes with this. It's definitely a roasty, toasty beer. Very bready, very beer-like in that sense. I love just a good bready beer. I mean, beer, after all, is liquid bread. So this really hits the nail on the head with the bready notes that I'm getting in the middle of the sip. The carbonation is relatively low with this. The finish it's not really dry. It's not really wet. It's kind of in between somewhere. The bitterness kind of makes it a little bit more sessionable because it's not a lingering finish. Sometimes when you have maple syrup, sweet things like that added to beer, it sticks to the insides of your cheeks and lingers a little bit. The maple syrup, although it's definitely noticeable, it doesn't stick to the inside of my mouth and it doesn't linger. So when the sip is done, the beer is inviting me back in to take another sip because it's a short-lived, nice drop off on the finish. This is an excellent beer. Um, Honestly, I wish it was a little bit more sweet. I wish maybe they added a little bit more maple syrup to this. But it's nice and bready and malt forward with that little bit of bitterness. It balances out nicely. Like I said, the alcohol is masked well. It's a winner. Um, I haven't had any of the other Game of Thrones beers to compare this one to, but I will say that this is an excellently made beer. If you can find this beer in your area, the My Watch Has Ended Imperial Brown Ale, it's definitely worth checking out. I don't know if it's worth $15 a bottle. I didn't pay that, but if it is $15 for a bottle, you could probably do a little bit better for your, bang for your buck. But this is an excellent beer nonetheless. I'm going to go with a 94 out of 100. It's a pretty solid A. It's relatively well balanced. It's got all the nice notes that you would look for in a brown ale with a little bit of extra sweetness from that maple syrup. The fenugreek, I don't know. I still think it's more of a gimmick than anything. I'm not getting any odd flavors or anything unique that is throwing me for a loop. But then again, I've never had fenugreek. It's kind of hard to describe something you've never had. But there's definitely nothing in here that is unrecognizable to me. So that's why I say that the fenugreek is more of a gimmick, because I'm not getting anything different. But an excellent beer nonetheless. I would highly recommend it if you can find Ommegang beers in your area. They have pretty good distribution. Like I said, they're out of Cooperstown, New York, and I'm here in Georgia. So the distribution is pretty widespread. They've been very successful in their ventures. So there you go, guys. Check it out. Try it. Buy it. Let me know what you guys think. That'll do it for this beer review. I hope you're all having a great day. Until next time, everybody. Cheers.